Welcome back to the Trading Justice Podcast, episode 328. I have an absolute wonderful, wonderful guest, good friend of the Trading Justice Podcast, and Pete Thomas here. Obviously, Pete, we've had you on a few times here. The latest was last October when we were talking about gold. Pete, how you doing today?
We're doing good. I mean, obviously, we're all a little frazzled here from this last $100 rally in the past few days. So, I'm sitting on a trading desk, with a pair of brass knuckles and a bayonet. It's just been
Oh,
wild.
I'm sure, given the fact that and it's not just the last 100 points, and to me, Pete, and I want to get your take on this, and obviously we'll have a discussion on gold here. It's not just the movement I'm seeing in gold that's getting me so excited, Pete. It's the what it's breaking out of. I mean, there was a multiple year ceiling between 1350 and 1400, and I remember there was about a year and a half ago we were on the podcast, and it was just range bound between 1300 and 1350, and it was just, and both of us, I still remember the conversation. We said, okay, if it breaks 1350, that puppy's going to run, but
Oh yeah,
that's not a guarantee. If it breaks 1300, watch out below. And it broke that 1300 level, and it just started this nice little bearish downtrend throughout all
yep.
of 2018. And then
Carried
we
the
got,
whole year. Yeah.
oh, the entire year. And then we came back on in October of 2018, and both of us just like, yeah, this is looking good at this point. Pete, I'm getting excited for gold because of the levels that it just broke out of 1350 by 1400, and you have clear selling to the top side. I'm sure your trade desk over there at Zaner's is just going on fire over the course of the last month, seeing what's happening in gold. What's your read on gold right here, and why do you think we're seeing such a parabolic movement in the precious metal that you and I love so much?
All right. There's two things. We'll do a broader picture so people can get a better
Yeah, big
feel for
big
what's going
picture,
on.
65,000 feet in
Right.
the air, absolutely.
Absolutely. So first off, something very dramatic happened um, late Friday, early Monday morning. I'm reading the backwater pages of the Russian newspapers because I always look to see what they're doing because I like to keep an eye on what the Russian central bank is doing,
Hmm.
and they don't really disclose it, so you have to read around it. It's like China. And all of a sudden, I'm reading a motion passed by the Duma, which is kind of like the PM or the ministry in England, and
Hmm.
they said we've decided since basically before World War II, it's been illegal for Soviet citizens to own gold unless they pay a 20% or more tax on
Really, I
it. And,
I did not
oh
know
yeah,
that.
highest VAT in the world. And
20% tax just to own
20
gold?
just to own gold.
Oh wow.
And I said to myself, what are they going to raise it? I mean, and it says, no, we're going to remove it. And I said, what?
Oh,
So now I'm digging
Russians
around.
love gold, brother.
Oh, big time,
Oh,
man.
Russians love gold.
Oh yeah. And the I'm just looking at it going to myself, a gold ruble, a 1 ounce ruble would be a monster.
Hmm.
And I happen to know the guy that stamps their coins for him, and I gave him a call, and he says we're looking at it. He said we're definitely thinking about it. I said, yeah. I said if you need some supplies, let me know. We'll move some gold over there, baby. So
Always doing the business there, Pete.
got to
That's
do
why I
it,
love
man.
you. That's
Got to
why I
do it.
love you.
But I think it was interesting because basically Putin has had a buy order for our bigger picture now of 20 tons a month. And it's been resting for 2 years.
Hmm.
And now all of a sudden they have all this gold in the reserve that they bought cheap. And they're saying to their people, you know what? Maybe it's not such a bad idea. You can buy a little of this, seeing how we're loaded to the gills, and we'll start manufacturing some coins, sell them to you guys, and we'll let you own them legally and without an extraordinary VAT tax. So all of a sudden we got a new player on the street, which is very, very rare. And so we have China admitted, and it's a Chinese number, so let's be fair with it, admitted they're doing 420 tons a year. That was about a month ago.
Yeah.
So we got that, we got Russia, as, as a central bank for the first, for the first couple of years. Now that's your underlying, all right? That's taking metal off of the street, if you will, and going into the depository. So
Yeah.
that's your real high picture. You have central banks coming in, buying very, very large numbers of a precious metal that only increases. Remember, production, even though we're going deeper, and it's taking more energy to remove gold ore,
Hmm.
it increases about 1.2 to 1.6% a year. That's your output increase from
Yeah.
new exploration, things of that nature. So all of a sudden you got these two players over 2 years grabbing everything that's out there.
What uh, coming back to the high level very quickly, I mean,
Uh-huh.
Russia and China, they've loved gold forever, right?
Forever. Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
they're picking up their purchasing pace over the course of the last 2 years.
Correct.
What is the big picture? What's their intention? Is it just to create a Russian gold coin, a Chinese gold coin, 1 ounce gold?
Yeah.
What's their intention with that?
Great question. I've been writing for on and off for about 3 years, the Wall Street Journal and Newsweek and I think Bloomberg
Hmm.
about the Silk Road. And the Silk Road is much bigger than that.
Yeah.
They're talking about doing. It's sort of like if you remember the oil back renminbi, the oil back yuan,
Yeah.
what they were going to put out. I believe that the discussions that I've been following is that they're going to do a gold credit between Russia and China. China is a very large oil consumer and it's going to continue getting bigger. But Russia has branched out tremendously in Africa and is bringing a lot of doré, which is refined up into 4 nines, three
Hmm.
nines, five gold. I believe what is going to happen is the new high speed, 373 miles an hour. That's moving. That's their new high speed train between Peking and Moscow.
Hmm.
I believe what'll happen is they're going to buy oil. They're going to do goods and service, but it's going to be like a credit swap. And at whatever date they set, let's say every quarter, they figure out who owes what to who. They're just going to load some gold on a train, ship it.
Ship it back and forth.
Boom.
So basically, purchase oil from Russia with gold from China,
Right. Oh yeah. But the
imported
good,
from Australia.
but the goods and services will move back and forth. They're still
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
creating phones. They're still creating trends. So I think it'll be close to a scratch trade when you get down to it, but there'll still be an imbalance somewhere, and who knows which side it'll be on. But as things loosen up, it could be. I think that, and it's my belief that that's the direction we're going.
One question I have for that is pertaining to the United States dollar.
Mm,
And China historically, when they would import oil from Saudi Arabia or anywhere else, they would use US dollars.
right.
There has been a growing trend over the last 3, 4 years that China has been slowly, if not openly, moving away from the dollar with a lot of their trade agreements,
Absolutely.
even purchasing, oil in non-US dollar transactions from Saudi Arabia, which
That's
20 years
correct.
ago that would have been unheard of. I mean, just
Never would have been done. And
not a
and
chance.
and, and if the guys that follow stockpiling or rolls of T-bills and intermediate and long-term note have seen a reduction within the holdings. And the question becomes, is it because their stock market broke so hard and because of the tariffs, the economy is slowing down that we're not seeing the wealth, the internal wealth in the community, so they're buying less? Or is it because they're just they're moving into a basket
Hmm.
and and also they're attempting to create the stability that gold brings to a currency. And
You know,
so they keep adding.
it's so hard to read the tea leaves between what China and Russia
Right.
is trying to do. I mean,
Oh yeah.
there was word 3 years ago in 2016, 2015 that coming out of the 2014 creation of the AIIB out of China, that they were going to the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, we're going
Right.
to use a basket of a currency to basically utilize in international trade. And then that was on the backs of the previous 5 years from 2010 through 2015, and China used basically signing, I think the latest count was like 56 trade agreements to use non-US dollar transactions in international trade. And then you put on all the tariffs and the trade war between the US and China, and now you're having Russia and China stockpiling gold. I mean,
Right.
this does not lead to a positive conclusion for the dollar.
Well, the thing is that there's still going to be the dollar is still the king. The
Oh yeah,
dollar is
it still
still
reigns supreme.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And the thing is that the small amount of business that we're losing due to the tariffs can be regained quite easily. But the interesting thing is that business now is diversified. We're
Hmm.
seeing a lot of companies going to Vietnam, Apple going to India.
Hmm.
So maybe we're losing the dollar swap there because people are moving out. China just said that they're going to have a paradise law where they said we're going to fine companies if they leave China and go to other countries to manufacture. And
That
I
was
thought,
their response to the
yeah,
tariffs.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
that's not a smart decision.
no.
That
Well, let's
that's
put
not going
it.
to work out.
Well, I think the people, I think your tackle viewers understand that capitalism it isn't quite as easy as it looks. I
No,
mean,
there's a lot of nuances to it.
there's a whole lot to it. Yeah. And the whole idea of the going, you're not going to do this. We're going to do this to you. People go,
Hey,
whoa,
hey,
you know,
China.
yeah,
I hope President Xi Jinping is listening to the Trading Justice podcast
yeah,
because let me give you some words of advice. That's
yeah.
not how capitalism works.
No, absolutely not.
No,
People stay there because you allow them to expand, produce, and make money. They don't
you
stay there
can't
because you
force
tell
a capitalist to do
them.
business.
Nah, it's funny, but so that's kind of the big view, I think, and I think that goes to your question is what's happening globally, and it's a big picture. It's an
Hmm.
exciting picture. It's a good dynamic, and I think what happened was, as you were saying, technically we diversified. We formulated an area where people got comfortable trading it, and we move a lot of gold and people got used to that little gap area. When it broke out, all of a sudden everybody went, whoa, wait a minute. And the numbers that we follow as far as trading goes, as far as the CME, the
Hmm.
LME, LBMA, it was like 3 or 4 to 1 short. So you had the whole world selling the market on these rallies and they got caught.
Oh, they got
And
crushed.
oh yeah, exactly. I think crushed is a good word. Yeah.
Looking at the short term, then that's big picture. Okay,
Yeah.
gold is parabolic right now. Maybe not as much as Bitcoin, right?
Right. Yeah,
But
right,
I mean,
right.
for our precious little shiny metal that we love, gold, moving from 1280 to 1442 in a month and in 5 weeks, that
Five
doesn't
weeks. Yeah.
happen very often for gold.
No,
In the short term, what are you recommending from at the highs of this level right now?
because we represent majority of bullion dealers, coin dealers in America
Hmm.
and Canada. We also, in the last year, have moved into e-waste and moved into recycling. And we opened that new copper contract, first time it's ever been done for individuals in copper. That as far as instead of having to move 25,000 pounds of copper on a contract, you can hedge down to the pound.
Hmm.
It's never been done before. So, we've sat down with all of our guys and gone over what's going on at the Fed and looked at the levels we're at now. And we have started gently at right close to the 450, 435 area in here, started to hedge some inventory just because of the fact that it we've had a gigantic run. It hasn't caught its breath yet,
Well,
you know.
you've had a gigantic run, but one thing that it doesn't have to come down. That's number one. It can just
Oh no.
consolidate over the course of the next week, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and
Oh
then
yeah,
have a
absolutely.
wonderful buying opportunity. Anything above 1370 is still a really good opportunity in my opinion. But one thing that I find very impressive in this run is the volume, Pete.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
volume and like I said earlier in the pod, you guys must have just been taking order after order after order there on the trade desk at Zaner's because the volume has been twice as what it normally is.
And not only that, the commitment from what really makes a market, believe it or not, are the smaller guys. The smaller guys, we had guys that normally doing 20, 30, 40 ounces coming in doing hundreds. And all of a sudden that goes to exactly what you say, man. Hey, look, boom. We got and now product is moving out and that product moves around. There's a lot of activity with it. And that points to exactly what you're saying. We saw that run. But here's the thing that I think is critical and goes to what your tackle trading followers have been getting from us for years,
Oh,
which
it's
is
for 2.5 years now.
good, solid advice. Anyone that bought gold in the last 6 years is cash money ahead today.
Hmm.
That's staggering. All right. Everyone that took our advice to buy metal and to buy the different types of metal and the areas that we told them to get into are cash money ahead. And
Oh,
I'm having,
if I would just
yeah,
very quickly, if going back, and I know all of our calls very well that you and I have made.
sure.
The If I would say the best call we've made, it was the short Bitcoin at 19,000.
Oh yeah,
That was that
absolutely.
was that was by far the best one. And I still remember I asked you the question. I said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I said,
Right.
Pete, what are you and all your buddies doing? Right? And all your buddies
Yeah.
at the Chicago Merc and
I remember all that.
what's all you and your buddies doing? You're like, and you were just like, short.
Yeah,
Right?
we
This
were selling it like blind men. It was like free money.
well, and honestly, that was right when Bitcoin was introduced into the futures market, and both you and I were like, this isn't good for the short term of Bitcoin. Not for
People
the
didn't understand it.
yeah.
People didn't understand that once it became a two-way market, then it was all over. And,
Hmm.
and, and the minute that contract came out, it's straight down.
You
It
guys
just
don't,
went
and I
like that.
remember saying this. You don't understand what Wall Street can do.
No,
Not when it's in the futures market. And so that was I would say that was our best call. Our
I
second
would
best call I would say would be gold at I can't remember if it was 1180 or 1200,
right in that area.
and it was
Yeah,
right in October of that year, right? And we are like, yeah, we're seeing the double bottom happening. It looks good from a technical perspective. I would say that'd be probably the third one.
yeah.
I would say
Now,
though your best call, Pete, on this podcast
yeah.
was palladium.
Palladium. Let me tell you something. I came on your show the day after they signed the Green Deal Act in China.
Hmm.
And you were like, well, what's that? And I said, China has decided that you should be able to breathe air that you don't see. And they're actually going to try to clean the environment. And they're going to pass a bill where you actually have to have catalytic converters on engines. And you were like, really? I said, this is one of the biggest deals that's ever hit the street. And there isn't enough palladium out there. And
Hmm.
at that time, we were well below 800. I think we were in the
I
low
think
seven.
I think we were like 720 or 730.
Right.
It was,
And
and I remember this, Pete, because we were looking at. Whenever we're on the pod, I'm always looking at the trends and the
right.
technical analysis, and I remember it was kind of in a little bit of a neutral pattern, ready to break
Yep.
out, and I still remember the call, and you're like, yeah, this is going to go on fire, and over the course of the next. It screamed to 1,000,
Oh,
screamed to 1,000,
didn't look
retraced a
back.
little bit, and then it went parabolic from like
Oh yeah.
800 to, all the way up to 1,500. Just an absolute
Oh
wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful
I
call
mean,
there.
your guys on tackle. And what's funny is when I do your shows, you refer people into us to buy metal, and the guys that bought palladium after that show
They're
doubled
happy.
their money.
Yeah,
They're very happy.
they're
Yeah,
happy.
they have
They're,
it. And
they're happy.
you remember too, we did two other reveals too about lithium
Hmm.
in the Chile fields and cobalt. and
I remember
we
your
did
cobalt call. That's right.
right, and we did a kind of a horizontal view on the projection for electric cars and the advanced technologies that were going to be needed for batteries. And
Hmm.
I said, hey guys, there's just not enough product out there. We got to buy this stuff. And we went into that in depth, and I believe that really those five things have been monstrous home runs for your tackle people, and
Wait,
I'm glad I could help.
no, and that's why we love bringing you on the podcast, Pete, because you're not shy about your opinions. You're not shy
Uh,
about, talking about the pros and the cons, and you're not shy about saying stay away.
right.
If it's
Oh
if
no,
it's not the right time, right?
no, no.
But
There's an old
okay,
saying in the trading, which is having no position is a position.
I
And
say it all the time. I,
oh, do you? Okay.
I literally I say it all the time. Every time I talk to people, I'm like, guys, listen, cash is a position.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely right.
you're making a choice. But Pete, that transparency that you bring and that transparency that Zaner's has brought over decades now, that is why people trust you guys so much, is because you're not just going to say buy, 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 buy because we want commission, commission, commission.
Right.
You're going to treat your clients with the utmost respect. You're going to do what's right by them. And when it's a stay away, you're not shy about saying stay away. When it's a
Oh no.
sell, you're not shy about saying it's a sell. And so in looking at gold right now, let's look at the four premium precious metals: gold,
Okay.
silver, platinum, and palladium.
All right.
Gold right now above 1400.
Absolutely.
What are you recommending to your clients right now?
We're saying take half off the table.
Take it. I
You
like it.
if you're using futures, you got an 8% margin for a dollar's worth of gold. So
Hmm.
you've more than doubled or tripled your account. Take some of the money and put it in your pocket.
Take
All
some
right.
profit. Okay.
Absolutely right. Don't have a problem with that at all.
Nope. Love it.
Silver's been the dog. Has
That was my question that I had.
yeah.
The one question I had on silver coming into this pod with you, Pete, was why is it such a underperformer?
I'll tell you exactly why. Two reasons. All right. China is not doing the solar cell. The solar cells were a staggering business for them. Also, there's there's like a gel layer that you put between windows to reduce the sunlight coming in, make the greenhouse effect on a large building. You negate it with using a silver colloidal suspension almost. Those two have not been consumed because of tariff.
Hmm.
They're slowed down, and that has really brought down silver consumption. There's a number of other reasons, but that's a major one to me. The other thing, which I think is really going to be this will be what will set it on fire. All right, this will be your key, and it'll run maybe $4 from here.
Hmm.
So when this happens, get out. When they sign the infrastructure bill, no matter what you think, get on board because
The only thing I want from our government in the next year is an infrastructure bill. That's it.
yep,
I don't ask for anything else.
no,
Everybody can complain and bitch and moan about whatever's on their plate that day, whatever they're looking at on Twitter. I don't
right.
care. I just want a massive infrastructure bill. That's all I
Oh
want.
yeah, kick that, remove the tariffs, and get the infrastructure bill passed. Iron, steel, all of your base metals from
Hmm.
that we trade on the LBMA, all of your precious metals, probably not so much gold, definitely silver, definitely platinum, palladium, because you're going to see big cats being built.
Well, they have more technological uses,
Oh,
more infrastructure uses. Like I
absolutely.
said this on last week's podcast when I was looking, I was asked the question on silver versus gold ratio,
Right.
and it basically they're like, well, it's 90 to 1 right now, and I'm like, well, it's going to get higher.
Yeah.
And I said, and they said, but that's on the extreme end. I'm like, well, you got to look at every economic condition at the same thing.
Yep.
And I said,
Absolutely right.
silver's the dog right now. There's no
Yeah,
doubt
it is.
about that. But that little precious metal is going to have its day.
Oh, it's not even a question. It's we'll go back $22. It's not a matter of maybe. It's just a matter of when. And the catalyst will be India.
Hmm.
India's back buying a little more silver than they did before. China and our infrastructure. I mean, there's going to be a lot of computers sold, a lot of keyboards made, everything that has electrical currents passing over it. Copper, which we touched on briefly, will go from 268, 274 has been our trading area right now. I would say 333 to maybe even 350.
About 25% markup.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And that is a gigantic trade.
So
That's going to be a big hit.
so looking at copper, looking at silver, and specifically platinum,
Uh-huh.
silver and platinum been underperforming,
Right.
copper similar, but in looking at those three precious metals, is what I'm hearing, Pete, is that wait, patience is a position. Wait.
Okay, and I agree with you. And I think that the thing is, if you're going to dip your toe into the silver, you're at a $15 level. All right. So where can it go? 12. That's where
Hmm.
it can go. What's your top side? 20, 22. So you look at your ratios, your win-loss ratios. Your exposure there is limited in my mind. All
Hmm.
right. So if you want to accumulate by physical and put it away,
That's a different
then yeah,
analysis, though, right? I,
absolutely.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
if
Absolutely.
somebody came to me and they're like, "Hey, Matt, I'm thinking about, trading futures contracts on silver today," I'd be like, "Are you insane?" Right?
Yeah.
But
Well,
if they came to me and said, "I'm going to call P and I'm going to buy, $10,000 worth of silver coins and
right.
store them for whatever reason," I'd be like, "Yeah, that's perfectly fine."
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a
That's it.
different analysis, right?
That's a good analysis. Also, we were big into rhodium. I think that runs pretty much run its course. The Canadians stamp a palladium maple leaf.
Yeah.
Beautiful coin. Sold a lot of those. We're kind of stepping back a little bit from that. So I'm agreeing with you across the board on that. Kind of slow down a little bit on the consumption of that. Let's see what's going on, and start looking and preparing for tariffs to come off and for an infrastructure bill, and that's a home run. That's a retirement threat. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The key signal from an economic perspective then would be infrastructure, right?
Yes.
That's the
That's
economic kind of trigger. Technical triggers will vary, but I do like a trade on silver above 16. If we get a breakout of 16, that to
yep.
me is a historical resistance point, historical support zone. So keep an eye on 16 on silver. Also keep an eye
Okay.
on the infrastructure bill, correct? That's kind of where we're
Right.
heads at.
That's where we're at. That's definitely where we're at, and I think it gives all our tackle people a real good overview and a good short-term plan and a better long-term plan.
Hmm. I got a question for you on that little precious metal that you had that awesome call right around 800 on palladium here.
Yes, yes.
Palladium got rocked earlier this year. Just
Oh
and
yeah.
when I mean rocked, I mean it had 1 week of, it came from 1528 down to 200 points down, right? And
Even more, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
it got beat up pretty good over the course of
yeah,
a
it did.
very short term. And I
Oh
can't
yeah.
remember the exact news that came out, but there was some economic news that really kind of drove it. But it's made a nice recovery in
It's
the
back
last
completely.
month, right? It's back to
Yeah.
perhaps a breakout here. Regarding palladium, what do you recommend to your clients here as we're approaching really an all-time high on palladium?
Well, I think you hit it. Think about what you just said. Buy breaks. If you're buying all-time highs, you know what your exposure is. All
Oh yeah.
right. I mean, that's straightforward. Consumption is lighter than it should be right now. Um, we're not seeing the sales of cars increasing or upticking in China the way we should be
Hmm.
because of the slowdown. So there, you have to look to them right now for consumption of vehicles. That's where it's going to be at, and definitely diesel equipment, mining, all of the things that you're going to be doing with diesel production. All of that's going to be, net user. And I think that until we see tariffs come off, there's a good chance you'll see a sharp, ugly break in palladium, which you should be a buyer
Hmm.
of. All right. So let's be cautious. Let's err to the cautious side. We've had a great run. And like you were saying, look for one of those sharp, vicious 5, 7 day breaks where all of a sudden you go from 15.20 to 13.10, and then go palms in, pick yourself up some product, and then sit in there with it and hope that we actually see something happen.
It's interesting you say that, Pete, because I was talking to my brother Mark and Tim on last week's podcast, and we were talking about trading breakouts versus my brother Mark's style of trading. And I said, Mark simply he doesn't like to buy all-time highs. He just doesn't like doing it. He feels like he's the last one to buy when he buys a breakout of an all-time high. And what he likes doing is he likes to buy into weakness. And what I was describing is waiting for it to come back down in price, find a support level. When you're looking at that palladium chart right now, Pete, you have major support at 1300 by 1320.
Oh yeah, absolutely right.
Major
And
support.
and really, if you look at mining production, which I do, and the outright production, especially in the Siberia region, and some global mines. I mean, it's basically South Africa and Russia, which are producers.
Hmm.
Production has gone down dramatically in South Africa. It really has. Between strikes, mines are getting old. Remember, those mines have been going for over 100 years. So we're seeing a lot less product coming to the market. And then this guy by the name of Putin, a few of your people might have heard of, has been putting a lot of that product in the vault.
Oh yeah.
He's like, no, we're not shipping that out. We're keeping it here.
He,
And
he's he's turning into being a hoarder.
well, he's turning into being a hell of a trader. You
Yes, he is.
know, I mean, come on. He's taking this stuff at 700, 650, coming out of the mouth of the mine, throwing it in the central bank, and then it's looking like it's going to trade 1,500.
Yep.
And then all of a
He's
sudden
a
he's going to
market
make it
maker.
legal. He's going to make it legal for his citizens to own it
Think about
or have no
think
tax on it.
think
Come
about
on.
that cutthroat guy.
Yeah.
Think about how cutthroat that is.
Oh,
Let
baby.
me let me let me just buy everything, and then let me remove this one little thing that
Uh-huh.
stops my people from owning those things, and
Right.
then let me remove that and watch it explode in value, right?
And have I got a deal for you, darling? Where you go,
I'm telling you, don't
Yeah.
bet against Putin. He's cutthroat.
Yeah.
That man's
Oh, yeah.
cutthroat.
I mean, he's got to figure it out, and he's getting better, not worse.
Yep,
And,
yep.
and our president's meeting with him Friday. I hope he took a pair of brass knuckles with him because this guy doesn't play
Putin's
fair.
just gonna stare at him. He's just
Oh
he's just gonna
man,
stare at him with
yeah.
that nice
Oh,
little stare.
he's got a cold look, doesn't
Do
he?
you,
Oh
that
man.
that leads me to another question very quickly because there are
Uh-huh.
two other things I want to get your take on before I
Sure.
let you get out of here, Pete. G20 coming up
Yeah.
here late.
Okay.
We're recording the podcast on Wednesday. It's released next Monday. We're
Okay.
literally just staring at the G20. So by the time our listeners listen to this, G20 summit has already happened.
Right.
Do you have, or does any of your buddies, and when I say your buddies, all the traders
Right.
do you guys have any anticipation of some positive news coming out of the G20 regarding the trade war?
Man, there's so much that needs to be done in there.
There's
I
so
mean,
many
it's just,
variables.
I mean, think about it. We need. I mean, very quickly, we need rare earths from North Korea.
Hmm.
Big. All right. I mean, China's has weaponized them. I've been writing for 5 years that we need to get our rare earths production ramped up. Not happen.
Hmm.
So North Korea is one of the major producers. If we could do some swaps there, that would be phenomenal. And I know the only guy that could do it is our current president with his relationship there.
Hmm.
I think that saving face has become such a big issue that I'm hoping that China can actually has felt that it's held out long enough and it's time
It's a
for
prideful
to
country,
start.
though.
It is, and you know what? it's cultural.
Mm-hmm.
It's just cultural, and it's hard as a Westerner to understand the nuances that are involved around it, and there are
Oh, we
many.
we don't care about anything like that. We
No,
just
we don't.
we just
Yeah, right.
we just want to do business, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we want fair and free trade.
Yep.
We want you to stop manipulating your currency under the value of our currency. We want you to
Which
stop stealing
which rarely
intellectual
gets
property
mentioned.
from the United States, and
Right.
you know, yeah, the soft dollar, and
Yeah.
we want to do business. That's what we
Oh
want to
yeah.
do. But there's emotion here, right?
Yeah.
There's emotion here, and that's what stops all business is when people's pride and people's emotion, and we're
Yeah.
dealing with a very prideful people, and understandably and rightly so. It's going to be tough for them to come off their stances.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to the point where he has all these empty cities. It's this Chinese stock market has just collapsed.
Oh, it's
Uh, Free fall. Free, all these guys are putting money in the Chinese market. Oh, you can't. Look at all the people, and
oh, I
you
get
can't
asked this
lose.
all the time,
Oh,
Pete, all the
yeah,
time. Hey,
you do.
should we buy in the Chinese market? Should we buy in the Chinese market? Should we
Uh,
buy the European market?
uh,
I'm like,
yeah.
no,
Why?
no.
Why?
Buy
You
the
know?
S&P 500. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
absolutely. Buy a Nasdaq. Everything's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely. So,
So you're
so the question,
cautious. You're cautious.
you have to be.
Yeah.
You really have to be. I mean, no one thought it would go this long.
How do you think the stock market reacts to no deals coming out of G20?
I don't feel. I feel the stock market has the rate cut now in it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it there's still the optimism of this getting settled.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, maybe we'll set back 400 points, 500 points, and then down.
Mm-hmm.
If it does get signed and it gets rolling, and then we push into a settlement of the infrastructure deal, we're going to see probably 30,000,
Well,
no problem.
think about it.
Yeah.
And these are if A, then B, then C,
Oh,
right? Right.
absolutely.
But if A, if trade war settled, okay,
Right.
then if B, infrastructure signed, which
Right.
I want it. I want it, but I just don't know if Democrats and Republicans get along long enough to get something done that's actually beneficial for our
For
people.
America, yeah.
But if infrastructure gets done and Jay Powell still cuts rates,
Whew.
30,000 might be a low number,
Oh, it is.
right?
Oh, absolutely it is. But it's a
Those are
pragmatic.
variables. Those are if A then B, but it's if you remove all those, I mean, it would be insane for Jay Powell to continue to
Oh,
gut rates in that environment because you should see increased economic activity, correct?
oh, and it becomes. You say to yourself, okay, with everything on fire the way it is, what's going to be the inflation ratio? And boy, that's just a toss of the coin at that point. Nobody
Well,
knows.
that's
And
why you own gold,
yeah,
so so
exactly.
you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to
Okay,
be fun.
very quickly, two more quick things.
Sure.
Silver on the blockchain. You got me excited. Okay.
Ah,
And let me preface this, okay?
okay.
2 years ago when we were sitting in, oh, I think we were doing the pod November of 17 or something like that.
Right.
And you and I were extremely anti Bitcoin.
Right. Oh yeah.
Okay. We thought it was just absolutely insane what we were seeing in 2017. That's why we called for the short, right? Bitcoin's recovered nicely over the
Oh yeah.
course of the last
Absolutely.
3 months, right? I mean, very
Yep.
similar to what we were seeing in 17.
Yep.
But it feels different this time given the fact that it was more consumer driven in 17 and now it seems like it's more institutional driven in 19. And
Okay.
I know that you're even getting excited for crypto, right?
Well, crypto's changing. I mean, for example, as you know, it was announced in all the news when Ampersand came to us, and they said, "Wait a minute, we know who you guys are.
Hmm.
We know what you're doing." And if you remember, about a year ago, we were able to get Richard Clark over here, who's probably the wizard of FX design.
Hmm.
And Richard, we opened an IT department and Richard's been heading it, and we've been doing some amazing things and building platforms and because we're my division here at Zaner's Metals, he's doing a lot of stuff for us in the metals. And Ampersand came to us and said, "Hey, we're doing a crypto pretty big offering. We looked at the numbers. We went, this is a big offering. So we want you to stockpile metal, and we also want to use a back office design, and we happen to have one." I said, "We're all plug and play for you guys. We're ready to roll." And so all of a sudden now, instead of having a mythical crypto, which is backed by nothing,
Hmm.
it's backed by silver that we're holding as a third party for them. So it's a different game.
So let me get this right. So Amber Ampersand is
Mhm.
creating a crypto,
Right?
correct? And I believe what's the name? The Ampersand vaulted silver token. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's they're new. It's a whole new ecosystem, and that's what it is. It's a digital asset.
Okay, it's digital asset class. They're
Right.
creating it. It's offered on the EOS blockchain, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they came to you, Zaners, and they
Right.
said, okay, we want to back this crypto backed by physical silver, right?
Right.
And
Right.
let me be clear here on to the listeners. We have not had crypto, excuse me, not crypto. We have not had commodity backed currency since 1971, right?
Since Richard
Yeah,
Nixon took
1971.
it.
Richard Nixon,
Right.
Henry Kissinger removed the
Yep.
gold standard. We haven't had that since then.
Right.
And this now digital asset, right? It's
Hmm.
now going to be backed by physical silver ownership that you guys store in your vault, correct?
Not only that, the client can contact us and say, "Send me the silver," and we'll just say, "In what form?"
So they will be able to convert their
Yep.
crypto to the physical metal at any
Yep.
point
And we'll ship it at any time,
with
anywhere in the world.
full with 100% full transparency.
Oh, that was our stipulation. Our
Yeah.
stipulation was that it has to be transparent. It can't be, yeah, we kind of got the metal here. It has to go through our back office, and we have to be able to acknowledge to the client, this is held in your account. Otherwise, we wouldn't want to play, because it's just, we've seen too many things happen with all these other Bitcoin launches where the
Hmm.
money disappears. We're
Well,
holding our
you
vault.
know, like in 17 when all the crypto phase like just craziness was happening, right?
Right.
I went over to Mumbai, India, and I was doing an event for Legacy Education over there.
Okay.
And there was 150 people in that room, Pete, and I was approached by about five different individuals
Okay.
to be an investor in their quote unquote new cryptocurrency.
Sure. Okay.
And wasn't backed by anything, no transparency. And basically I looked every single one of them I just looked at and I said, that's like Candy Crush coins. What are we doing? Right?
Yeah. Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's like somebody developed an app and you can buy stuff to purchase on that app. Just gypsy coins, right?
Oh, yeah.
I
Well,
gotta tell you, as somebody who has been somewhat skeptical of the crypto movement from June 17 through really kind of March of earlier this year, I'm coming around.
I mean, the thing is that it is the speed, and you have to remember too. For us, the most important thing is the KYC. But they're doing the front end of it, and it's being done right. I mean, these
Hmm.
guys are sharp, and I mean, this is Seth Patankin, and if you don't know, if your listeners don't know who he is, he's a Nobel. He worked under a Nobel Prize winner, John Nash. Most people know John Nash from Princeton University,
Hmm.
and Dr. Patangan is one of the few people who worked under the Turtle creator, and his model. And these are some really top flight guys, and they came to us and said, "Hey, we want your name. We want your vaulting. We want your software. We know all the stuff you've been developing. You're the leaders in this field. We want to JV with you guys. We want to get this going." And we were like, what do we need? We sat down with our designers, and they all said, "Oh, this is real easy. We got all this built already. All you got
Hmm.
to do is plug it in." So it worked out very well for us. And then when this went out, which was April, then in the meantime we have I have an NDA in
And
place.
that was April of 2019, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, just
Yeah,
a couple months ago.
yeah, just a couple of months ago. Then of course we got another guy just came in who is a client, an existing client of ours that has one of the largest refineries in the Middle East, and said, "Hey, we're doing a coin. We're going to back it with gold. And they asked me, said, "Hey, we saw the some of your coin designs. We'd like you to design some stuff for us. We're going to back this whole thing in gold. We're committing 150 million dollars to it.
Hmm.
It's a, we're very serious about it. We'd like you to get involved." And we said, "Okay, let's move forward with this." And and not a week after that started to develop, and also we're representing a couple of nations that have gold mining also. Another person came in from a major firm, which I can't disclose, but a very, very large
Yeah, you
firm.
got NDA signed with these companies.
I know it's
Yeah.
it's hard. You got everybody's
I
signed.
believe me, in a previous life I went to law school. I understand.
Okay,
So,
thank you. So anyway, we got three guys, that are all asking us to help them develop and actually back a crypto with something, and then all of this, Matt, leads us into Libra, right?
hmm.
I mean, this is where it's going to end up. I mean, a whole lot of people, and let's just go back up to the 60,000 foot picture again. If you're in Brazil, if you're in Russia, and you've got the ruble, and you don't know where it's going to be pegged to from one day to the next, you know, uh, do I have a oil back yuan? Do I have a renminbi? Am I in Zimbabwe? Well, what am I going to do? All of a sudden, I got a Libra, and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, I got all the goods and services that I've been ordering online. I can now use out of my wallet.
Hmm.
It can be held securely. I mean, I saw the numbers on this on their development side last week. 5.8 billion with a B just to make sure their blockchain's working properly.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
Wow.
yeah,
That's that's
yeah.
that's a big number.
These guys don't play around.
No,
They,
that's a
and they're
big number.
they're
Well, and
they're smart and aggressive, and they know how to do their research.
well, and Pete, that's why it feels different this time. Is
You very
because
well put. That's where I'm going. Yep.
yeah, because when you see, you know, people from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and Zaners, and when you see Facebook, and when you see J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs, and when you see
Google.
Google, and when
Yeah.
you see central banks out
Yeah.
there, when you see
Yeah.
this versus what we saw in 16 and 17, all of these entities, from you to Jamie Dimon to the central bankers to, Google to Facebook to everybody, they're like, this is insane. No, 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 no. And most likely they were planning this all along, anyways. But, they were just like, no, 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 no. This is crazy. This is crazy. I still remember when Jamie Dimon came out and said in 17, he was giving an interview and he said, if I catch one of my traders trading Bitcoin, I'm going to fire him on the spot. Right.
Oh yeah. He's definitely. And
But
but
now
like
they're
I said,
all embracing it, Pete. They're all
well,
embracing it.
the technology. I think that it's the technology. It goes to what we started talking about at the opening of this conversation, which is transparency.
Hmm.
All right. If I know that the metal that I'm getting or the product I'm getting, I know I can look in the blockchain and go from A to Z, and I can see every step along the way of where it started, where I'm at. You have the KYC, you have the compliance, everything that you're going to need is right there.
Hmm.
So you're taking the potential for all the litigation that comes with a large product away. You've developed a proper chain of progression which can demonstrate where the product came from and where it went to, how it was paid for, where it is. And it takes a lot of stress off of the internal workings of a bank. You have your
Hmm.
legal staff, you have your compliance staff. If you could reduce that down and do the same transaction, but with less people involved and not cheaply paid people either,
Okay.
you're a big winner.
No, I'm with you 100%. And It's
Yep.
just a matter of how do you do it, how do you go about it, where do you position. But Pete, it's just fascinating to see what's going on in just a
Oh
very,
yeah.
very short time frame over the last 3 months in the crypto space. I
Oh,
mean, before 3 months ago, it's just like, no, this is a dog, and then all of a sudden, all these entities start coming out
oh
with
yeah.
these announcements. It's just like with you guys with your silver-backed crypto with
Oh yeah.
Emersol. I mean, that was March, April. That's when we started seeing all of this. Now Facebook announces Libra just a couple weeks ago. Th- It's just starting, Pete.
Dive into that a little bit and look and say to yourself, okay, we got Facebook. Who's who's behind that? Well, who's going to clear those transactions? Oh, one of their partners is PayPal.
Hmm.
You know, oh, I see.
Oh yeah,
It's kind
one of
of
the
like
biggest.
yeah, they kind of got. Well, we got the guys that are going to handle the cash, that are going to do the transaction. We're going to provide the goods and
That makes me
services.
want to go buy PayPal stock right now, by the way.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is. And then think about the little nuggets they could pick up. They could pick up a Zaner, and we could just plug our API, in, and all of a sudden you could have gold, silver, platinum, palladium anytime you wanted it while you're in Libra, and it would be 100% transparent. You just punch it. There's the spot number.
Yep.
You go buy, and it's delivered. That'd be it, and it comes out of your wallet. You know, and
All
I'd be
from one
willing to
location too.
ex- from your phone.
Yeah, one location, just your phone.
Yeah, absolutely
Ease of
right.
use,
And
connectability, transparency, all of the above.
all of the above. And just and I remember my grandmother looking at me going, "Is this computer thing ever going to go anywhere?"
I
You know
I
what I
was
mean?
I was talking to my father about
Yeah.
10 years ago during the
Uh,
subprime meltdown, and I was talking to him about trading and whatnot, and he asked me a question about, well, who's going to sell that to you, or who's going to buy that from you? And I'm like, Dad, that's
right.
that's not how it works. There's no more physical person on the exchange floor that's
No.
taking
Uh-uh.
your orders. It's routed through algorithms and all of this. And he's like, son,
Yeah.
I've seen Terminator. I know how this ends. And I'm just like, come on, Dad.
I mean, you look at, the real thing, anytime you're doing a transaction, it's counterparty risk.
Yeah.
That always is. And your dad's right. He's 100% right. Who's the guy on the other side? But I mean, look, you come to a Zaner, and we have all of our LPs in line, and it comes to us, and it ends up at an exchange that does $5 to $10 trillion a year in metals trade.
Wow.
I mean, the waters have gotten so deep in so many of these fields now that the counterparty risk has been shrinking. And I think when you have, I mean, who's on the other side? As well, Amazon. We've got PayPal, we got Google, and you start looking and you go, wait a minute, these are successful, gigantic teams, and they've come together in order to get I me on a phone so that I could do this. And what I see is you're going to be able. It's going to be one stop. They might have, like, let's say for example, the good people at Fidelity. Okay, so you got your wallet, and you're over at Fidelity, and you can buy some stock. You can have a coffee maker sent to your house. You can make a deposit into your IRA,
Hmm.
or you can buy precious metals from me, or store stuff in precious metals if you want. And you can do it all with just one click.
One
Off you
click.
go, and you'll have your direct deposit from your work. Your payroll check will go right into that wallet, and that's it. And I'm sure it'd be very easy for me to create a 401k,
Oh, the amount
403b.
of financial
Just
instruments.
oh,
Oh,
stagger.
yeah, it's unlimited.
Yeah, that's exactly
The
what it
amount
is.
of
It is.
financial instruments Wall Street can create off any of this is literally unlimited.
Look at, we're swap dealers here. Okay,
Yeah.
we do currencies all the time. I mean, think about the global swap dealing that can be done. I mean, you're going to be going from Canada to the euro to the this to the that to where internally they'll actually be making the markets
Hmm.
because it's just going to be that big, and there's no limit to this, none.
Well, and one of the things that I don't think goes, like, for me anyways, just the value of a good or a service as a capitalist going at
Yeah,
the rate of supply and demand, right?
yeah,
And that's what all of this goes at, Pete. if people want to come in and buy and believe in something, the value is going to go up. And if they don't, the value go down. And that's not what we see all the time with currency any longer.
No,
The
that's true.
massive
And
manipulation in the currency markets.
so as we saw this morning when they came out with the judgment on the market being manipulated by a bank today.
Hmm.
I mean, bottom line, and you referred to China, which I think is very astute of you because most people don't know that. And the thing is that if we go from fiat currency to goods and services, a lot of people say, "Well, you're stepping back." No, you're not.
No,
You're cutting the middleman out. Is
no, no,
what
no.
you're doing. You know?
Goods and services can back. Okay.
Yes.
Faith
Yes.
can't. Faith does not back. Actions,
Yeah.
commodities, physical, intrinsic value. Goods and services have intrinsic value. Gold has intrinsic value. Silver has intrinsic value. Currency has extrinsic value. There's a big difference in that.
Oh yeah. All right. I need a toaster. Oh, I've got two gold coins at Zaner. I'll convert those over. And this guy wants dollars. Okay, I will convert it into dollars. I want to buy it for this. Bought. Boom. Oh, I had excess money left from Zaner. Where's that going to go? Oh, it's going to go into my central account. Okay, boom.
Yeah. I was
And
going to say
and
that's an expensive toaster for 2 gold rounds.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, the bottom line is that not only is it capitalism, it's capitalism at its best because it's making people's lives better.
Hmm. Well, and when
That's what capitalism should do.
I agree 100%. When capitalism is at its finest, it's when the value of a good or service goes at 100% supply and demand, where it benefits the society as a whole. Capitalism was
Yeah.
built for people. It wasn't built for the top of the market. This is
Nope.
something that can help us get back to who we were originally, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's going back. Definitely, agrarian societies aren't coming back,
No,
but
no.
but but going back to the days of production and deliveries and everything that's going to be involved with it. I mean, maybe you'll be buying that toaster that gets delivered with a drone. Okay.
From
I mean,
Amazon.
from Amazon. How cool is that? I mean, come on.
Well,
You
in
know.
in where I was born and raised, I'll tell you, they'll get the shotgun out and shoot that drone down. There's there's a little mistrust there in certain parts
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Utah. Let me put it like that. Pete,
Well,
it's been an absolute wonderful,
oh,
wonderful
my
joy
pleasure.
to
Yeah.
bring you onto the podcast. We were planning on 20 to 30 minutes, but like normal, we typically you and I
We
would
we all
we always
we
go
always
longer. We always go longer. Pete,
yeah.
how can people get a hold of you if they want to purchase gold, silver, platinum, palladium, store silver in their IRAs,
Sure.
anything you guys do? How can they get it? They can always go to the Tackle Trading website and go to your
Yeah,
website and go
absolutely.
to
We
Zaner's
get
that way
we get a
too. But
lot of people through Tackle. A lot of guys have done, as we've said over the last few years, very well following your podcast and coming to us for their mental needs. You contact me. I'll give you a direct number: 312-277-0140. That's right to me. If I'm not here, we got a whole team. Someone to pick up the line. We'll be happy to create portfolios for you. We'll be happy to help you.
awesome, awesome. So, guys, for all of your commodity, physical, precious metal needs, contact Pete Thomas. His number, once again, 312-277-0140. Pete, it's been a wonderful joy having you on the podcast. Thank you so
Well,
much for your
thank you.
wise words and your wisdoms yet again. And we'll look forward to bringing you on again when we get closer to your launch date.
All right, man. Always a pleasure. And to all of you people that follow you and go to your classes and everything else, you know, you can see this is a good source of information. Stay with Matt and make yourselves a little better.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.